Mike, when we look in the mirror and we see this reflected image of ourselves, yes, I know.
And you're very thankful you're not Kamala Harris.
I didn't know how you was going to bring her into this, but there you
I
are.
just read that. I mean, I normally don't do this before the show, but as I read to you, her statement is that, transportation is fundamentally the issue of getting people to where they need to go. And above that is an article on UFOs. And it's making me rethink my theology. I don't know.
So when you look at yourself in the mirror,
yeah, okay. So I need to start this program over, right?
Well, the image you see reflected, we interpret that image.
Yeah.
We interpret it by the filter of our understanding of ourselves, who we think we are. There are folks that have opinions that, well, my nose is not the right shape, or my hair is not the right color, or I wish I was whatever. And we imagine if only, and we
all look like Barry Phillips.
Well, there's a lot to be appreciated for that. But nevertheless, what we see and who we see ourselves as is oftentimes not shared in the courts of heaven. Yah sees us differently than we see ourselves. Oftentimes, I think, and a greater estimation than we see ourselves. Classic example in the book of Judges, chapter 6. There is a man threshing wheat in a wine press. That's not typical. You make wine in a wine press. You process grapes. He's hiding a grain harvest from his adversaries, from Midian. And Yah says to him through a messenger, he says, Yah is with you, you mighty brave one. And the basic response of Gideon is, who, me?
Yeah. What are you looking? There's nobody else here.
He's looking around to see, who in the world are you talking to? It's not me.
Yeah.
And of course, we know the classic story here, how he is used very instrumentally to deliver his people from oppression. Two words Yah has been speaking to me frequently for the last several years: significance and being significant and being strategic.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough that we just recognize that we have a sense of significance, that there is some ability, quality, opportunity, some inward anointing that is going to enable us to do something significantly. But we also have to allow ourselves to be placed strategically. If I am gifted with the gift of healing, to pray for the sick and they recover, if I never find myself among those who need physical healing, I'm significant, but I'm not strategic. I'm not where I need to be. So there is a need for us to look in the mirror of ourselves and see what Yah sees, which is a tall order. Mm-hmm. But then to also hear the Ruach, to allow him to place us where we need to be so that we can do what we need to be doing. So with that, folks, I'll give you Mike Clayton.
You give me about 6 different areas to go to. First of all, yeah, you're welcome. Okay. So first of all is I've put out a thought for the day a long time ago on Facebook. One of our greatest assets in our life is an honest mirror. Okay. So there are a lot of people that see themselves in a mirror and do not see correctly what the image is. Now, there's both sides of the spectrum. You have, on the one hand, a sitting vice president that sees herself as is I have no idea what she sees. I think she sees herself as intelligent. There are a lot of people that see themselves in the mirror and and think themselves to be something that they're not. The other side is what I think many deal with more. Most of the people that we would be ministering to see themselves on the other side. They see themselves as not worthy, not significant, not influential, seeing themselves through all the issues of life. And a lot of that comes from, I believe, religious background. It comes from, those of us that were raised in places that we were singing songs like "For Such a Worm as I,"
Yeah.
that I'm just an old, poor, rotten, dirty sinner, saved by grace,
Saved by grace.
trying to make it onto the promised land. Hallelujah. Those things influenced us. The religious, religion tries to hold you down, whereas the Almighty is trying to make you look at yourself through His eyes. And I think that is maybe the biggest key here, Barry. You were alluding to it, is asking the Father, let me see you. Let me see myself as you see me. Gideon came face to face with that. Okay, he's been ridiculed by Vacation Bible School and Flannel Graph and by pastors all over. He's in a wine press, which means in order to thresh wheat, most people know this in case they don't. In order to thresh wheat, you had to have a breeze. So you would throw that wheat up in the air, and you would allow the wind to take the chaff away, the hull away, and back to the ground would fall the actual wheat. Which means in a wine press, he's going through a lot of motion, expending a lot of energy, but there's absolutely no results. Why? Because he saw himself as the worm instead of the mighty man of valor.
Once you get a clear picture of how Yah sees you, and then begin to understand what it is that He has designed for you to accomplish, I think most often we're going to find that it's not things to accomplish through perceived skills or talents, those things that we know how to do. It's going to be requiring of us to do that which we don't know how to do.
Yeah.
I was, up for the first 8 years of my life. I was the middle child, and I was raised with my dad's quirky sense of humor at times, and I was always a ham. Actually, Shy would prefer to sit in the corner somewhere and just watch. But if I was going to get noticed at all, or get any acknowledgement at all, I felt like I had to be goofy and do something other than make people laugh.
And that has not changed.
That's not changed at all.
Cletus.
So I can remember mom or dad, or sometimes both, telling me to behave. But next thing you know, I'm getting them to laugh and whatever. So, Yah took that willingness to stick myself out there a bit, even when it was uncomfortable to do so, and said, "I've called you to preach."
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Me? You want me? What? But I remember being terrified, and shaking all over trying to do anything. I could teach Sunday school. I mean, that was a small audience, though. But over the years, Yah has has taken a willingness to try. And what's, it's not the moments you stand in front of a group of people of any size and share what it is that he's given to you. It's the time before that.
Yeah.
Where you are studying, reading, being inspired by the Ruach, jotting down your notes, crafting that into some kind of format to where you can follow your thoughts in an ongoing manner. It's not the, in Hebraic culture of where we do things an hour or 2 hours long, or as Laura was saying, it was 140 some minutes that she timed you.
144.
There you go. It's all that time in preparation of. It revived, I've shared the story. It revived this a few weeks ago. I came with plan A that was rejected, plan B that was rejected, and plan C that I had not had prepared. And I'm sitting in our hotel room, jotting down my thoughts on a piece of paper as fast as I can go. And I'm realizing we're going to do this old school. It's not going to be notes on my laptop here. It's going to be handwritten notes stuck in the pages of my Bible, and go with it. But if I had not taken those times, I could say, well, I'm just going to open my mouth, Father, and let you fill it. It doesn't work that way.
Well, there are times that it does.
That's the exception and not the rule.
Yeah, there are times that it does, and I've had a pastor or somebody stand up in front of a crowd. Well, I just didn't have a lot of time to do anything. Let's see what God has for us today. You knew that was going to be an off the wall day because it was just going to go all over the place. Yes, I got the scripture that says, take no thought for what you're going to say when you stand before someone. I got that. Okay. But that doesn't mean that we should not be digging our well.
Study to show yourself approved.
Yeah. If you're going to bring forth water to someone from a well, make sure that prior to getting there to them, you've dug the well. Yeah, I can stand up. You can stand up, and we can talk for an hour or so because we've spent a lifetime digging our wells. But there are times that you just stand up and do and go, just go run with it. Yeah, I want to take it back to Revive, Barry. This goes back to this concept that we're kind of talking about of not seeing yourself as who the Father sees you. As we were there on the third day, you were with me with the young adults. A young man, was it the third day or was it second? It might have been the second. I think it was the second day. You were not there that day. But a young man sitting over to my right, all of a sudden just kind of raised his hand like, could I get your attention over here? And I, as the guys said on the Life on Purpose, we recorded Monday night, it's up online. I encourage people to watch. I do not just turn over. If somebody raises their hand, I really don't care. You can stand there and you can stand up, you can shout at me, you can do whatever you want. If I don't feel like the Spirit's leading, you're not getting the platform. Because I've seen through the years that a lot of people will sidetrack you, detour you, if they are just, it's just somebody that feels like they want to, well, I can teach better than he can. So it's not normal for me to call on somebody, but I felt like this was it. And this young man, amazing young man, I got to talk to him later on. The first thing is out of his mouth was, well, I'm not good at public speaking. And then went forward with an absolutely prophetic message to our to the room. My question: who told you you were not good at public speaking? And why do you believe that lie? I run into people all the time. I have a very close friend who said, I'm afraid of speaking in public because I feel like I'm going to be foolish. Who told you that? And then goes on with a dissertation and reading my mail. Who told you that? Don't believe the lie of your mirror. Don't
That's a
believe the
good.
lies.
Whoa. That you need to put that out there. Don't believe the lie of your mirror.
Yeah, don't believe the lie, because the enemy. There's three voices, Barry. There's three voices we hear. We can hear God's voice, but that's the easier voice to discern, I think, sometimes. The other two voices are my voice and the enemy's voice. And that's the two that I find kind of, he has a way of knowing the things that are going to bring you back down. And we need to learn to not listen to that voice. It's not that, and I wrote this one line down. My calling, you talk about growing up as a middle child. I grew up as an only child. I said nothing growing up. Never said a word. And for me to be a speaker, I have no confidence in me, but I have all the confidence in him.
Mm-hmm.
So our confidence in him has to override our lack of confidence in ourselves. But that lack of, one last thought, since I'm thinking, that lack of confidence is a strength, not a weakness. Because that lack of confidence will always place us in a position in which we know we have to trust him. I'm done.
True. Very true. You alluded to a little bit ago with the way that cultural, scriptural, or congregational cultures that we came out of and what was preached and declared to us. I'm just a worm type thing. And the tradition that I came out of, there was an emphasis on humility. And humility was expressed, by poor mouthing yourself, not expecting too much. I'll just take a little. Then we picked on the women that if they were humble, they were not going to put on cosmetics and jewelry or cut their hair. To do so would be pride. If a man wore a bow tie instead of a necktie, he was demonstrating pride. All kinds of, and that's very, very old stuff. And when I was coming up, thankfully we had gotten away from some of that. But nevertheless, there was this Pentecostal variation of a version of humility. And it wasn't scriptural for the most part. There is a mindset sometimes where it says that in order to humble myself before him, I cannot be bold. There is a powerful combination of humility coupled with boldness. I'm humble enough, or one must become humble enough to be submissive to the will of Yah, but having determined the will of Yah, to be bold to accomplish it. So just as obedience and grace, the Torah and grace, are not incompatible, but actually parallel and function correctly together, boldness and humility likewise need to be coupled together and function together. It's called meekness. Meekness is the ability to have perceived strength and ability under authority. It's under control. You're not bold and going in with guns blazing and tearing people apart, but rather you are a shepherd who knows how to use the staff in your hand to defend your sheep.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this sense of balance, looking at yourself and discerning, I can't, I won't, because I'm not able. I don't even want to try. I don't want to fail. I don't want to disappoint anyone. I especially don't want to be embarrassed. What if I try to do what it is I think I should be doing and it doesn't work? Let me let you in on a secret. Chances are that your initial efforts won't go very well. Those who speak publicly for the first time, you're going to stutter, you're going to mix up your words, and you may even bore some people to tears, and you may even cause some to laugh at you.
You talking about my first sermon?
Well, at least mine. Okay. And the calling, the assignment, the hand of Yah will cause you to pick up another piece of paper in your quiet time and start putting your thoughts and notes down again. And you will crucify yourself and tell yourself, see there, I knew I couldn't. But the boldness of Yah will come upon you at some point, and you will effectively communicate what it is that the Father's given to you. When you lay your hands on someone to pray for them to be healed, they may not feel anything, sense anything. The healing may not manifest immediately. The lame may not get up the first time you try to pull them to their feet. At some point, it will. The disciples came to Yeshua and said, we tried to cast this demon out and it wouldn't come out. Later on, they did so effectively. So you can't take initial failures or perceived failures as the total summation of your efforts. Anyone who's ever tried to do anything, not just in the spiritual arena, business people, how many times do they fail before they get a project off the ground and it's successful? How many failed science experiments take place in a lab somewhere before they finally stumble onto something that actually works? Failure has not stopped politicians from being politicians, and it's not caused media people to stop being media people. So things happen, but Yah calls those that are weak to confound those that are strong. He uses the insignificant to do significant things, because then we have an understanding. As Rachel said, I came to you in weakness, and not with persuasive words, but I wanted your confidence and belief to be based not on skillful preaching, but on the demonstration of the power of Elohim.
Well, going back to, again, you give me about 6 things here. Going back to one of your, and I'm going to go ahead and put the letter back into the word humility. Barry doesn't, he's still working through the English language there with not pronouncing the H, but, humility is a strength. The issue with humility is this, that most of us, when we get to the place of understanding we have humility, we get proud of it. And there it goes. There was only one person that was able to know he was humble and remain so. And so for the rest of humanity, it's this kind of thing going back and forth. And the more time we spend with it, the more time we understand the traps that are placed within humility that take us away from humility. But understand that humility is a strength. Now, you talk about, public speaking, and that's what we do and stuff, but what about the small things of life? I mean, going back to Revive, I was talking to the guys on the program, and you were there in the third session. We did an altar along, with chairs in the center, and I told a story about how I set these chairs up. I turned to walk away, having invited these young people to come and meet with the Almighty there. I turned to walk away, and I hear this word "lead," and it's like, yeah, I knew you'd do that to me. And I turned back around and knelt. And the guys the other night said that's what broke the whole thing. We're all called to lead in something, and it may be the smallest thing, Barry. Somebody may be standing in the congregation and in a time of worship and just feel like, I need to go up to the front and kneel down. I need to turn around at my chair here and get on my knees and pray. And the moment that comes into your mind, it's like, I'm going to look stupid. Everybody's going to be laughing at yeah. Maybe you're the one that's there's the old picture of the dam, with the lake behind, and this dam is here, and you're strategically placed, and this is not a destructive water. This is a flood of His Spirit. You're strategically placed with your finger in that dam, and the Father's calling you to take your finger out, and you're the one holding back the flood of the Spirit with your finger. And if you will just do what is proper within the boundaries, within submission to the leadership of those in the room. I mean, if here's the thing, I think what worked at Revive for us is, I'm going to say this hopefully in the utmost humility that I can. I don't think there was a person in the room that didn't understand who was in control.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it was, God's anointing, but they knew that I was the authority in the room, and the authority in the room, anointed by the Spirit, who is the authority, gave the sheep the freedom to play, to experience the field.
There's another element of that, Mike. You had demonstrated your love and compassion for that group of people at that point for about 6 hours, 5.5 hours. So you had laid a foundation. If you had done that the first meeting, it may not have worked as well.
Yeah.
But you had spent enough time and given enough investment, not only at this year's Revive, but in previous years, to help them to understand it's safe. Mike's not going to allow anything in here that's going to be destructive or fake. And because there was trustworthiness in your leadership, Yah used that to create an opportunity for them then to encounter Him under an all reality pastoral authority. You have become a pastor to them, a shepherd. And as sheep in that room, they had learned to trust that this is a safe environment. There are no wolves here. There are no goats to butt my head. It's a safe place to become vulnerable. And that's why in my opinion, that opportunity worked. Likewise, Yah's not necessarily looking for those who are already bold and exuberant and outlandish in their personality, who don't care what people think. Well, I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to do whatever it is that I think I need to do. And I don't really care what people think and how they respond. He can use such a person like Shimon Peter with that boisterous personality. But it takes a breaking process first. He specializes in taking those that are bold in their approach to him, where they come and submit themselves. It is in the place of submission, obedience, dare we say, brokenness before him, that Yah raises up vessels then that he can significantly and strategically utilize. You may not be in front of a group. Your work may be behind the scenes. It may be a system of helps alongside those that are used more visually, but we all share in the same reward and the same fruit bearing that will result. It's not just the person who is seen or heard. It's more those that were behind the scenes, adding to, supporting, of, encouraging. In our first pastorate, I was being groomed to be a pastor. I had a pastoral heart, but I had no experience. And I learned some things that were not correct as far as pastoral leadership. And I had to be refined in prayer. And it took 5+ years of being groomed in that location to go to grade 2 and be torn apart in my second location and so on. But I had a little lady in her 70s that would get me out of bed at about 6 o'clock on Monday morning. And I would answer the phone. Laura would say, it's Sister Helpler. And Virginia Helpler will call me and tell me, Pastor, that word you preached yesterday was what I needed to hear. And I saw the look on your face that you were disappointed that there's not that many people there. Don't you quit.
Yeah.
I'm praying for you. You're saying the right things. You keep doing what you're doing. You keep letting the Father use you the way he is. You keep preaching. You keep on. And by the time that she got finished with me, I would have changed my mind about calling up the state office and asking if I could resign.
Yeah, I got that.
And that happened week after week after week.
Yeah.
There were those strategically placed everywhere that Laura and I have been that have likewise been those encouragers, supporters. No one else in the congregation really knew what Sister Helpler was doing. That was private between her and Laura and myself.
Yeah.
But I owe any and all successes that I have experienced since then to the foundation of her encouragement. And without Sister Helpler's prayers, and the life that she lived, she's gone now. But her influence is why I'm on Foundations for Life or any other visual program or any other effort. Anything that I accomplish in the kingdom, she shares in the benefit of it. And I dare say I'm not the only one that she encouraged.
Because she found a place of significance, Barry.
She did.
And her place of significance brought out that significance in you. Well, let's turn a little corner here and go to those that are called to lead. I have a question for leaders. Does the kingdom of darkness take you seriously? You know,
Wow.
yeah, this could be a program itself, I guess. Does the kingdom of darkness take you serious? You talk about a little goofy here, and I like to keep the thing light, and I'm always trying to figure out a joke to put in here, but at the same time, that joke that I place in there is not for the humor of the moment, but to open the inner man of the person so I can say something of seriousness. You get a person kind of a little bit of laughter, a little openness, and all of a sudden you can say something. You've like opened the gate, and now you can walk in with what you wanted. But then there's leadership that are basically everything about them is goofy. Their whole line is most everything about their life is a sarcastic remark. Wow, sun just came up. Or out there. I didn't close my blinds. Everything is a sarcastic remark. Everything is kind of a joke. People are always laughing at you. If the people who are listening to you are laughing at you, so is the kingdom of darkness. Now, that probably needs to just settle there for a moment. Leaders, there's nothing wrong with us being lighthearted, full of joy. Yeah. But when I say something serious, if you don't take me serious, there's a problem. Let me give an example. I'll turn it back to you. A person most everybody knows, Joel Osteen. Okay, this is not a statement against Joel Osteen and the teachings and all this stuff. This has nothing to do with all of that stuff that I don't like specifically about the person. Okay. But it was a few years ago that Joel Osteen got up in his auditorium, whatever that thing, the Coliseum, whatever it is, and he started teaching about how the Bible says that we should not eat pork and shellfish. And I listen. I don't listen to Joel Osteen, but somebody sent me this, and I listened to it. The whole audience, and I use the word audience, the whole audience began laughing. And he tried to recover from it. Oh, no, this is what the Bible says. And they laughed. Why? Because they don't take him serious. Is the kingdom of darkness taking you serious? The only way that can happen is when your image of you lines up with God's image of you. And that sends earthquakes through the kingdom of darkness.
I dare say that there are some unknown, unnamed individuals that are taken much more seriously than some of those that, or some of us, that are more recognized.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could
well,
be.
There's something other for me to chew on for the rest of the day. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. All right. Well,
if anyone is in the region of Richmond, Virginia, this coming Shabbat and following, Friday evening through Sunday afternoon, there is a Native American Giving Honor to Israel conference going on that is has been organized by Dr. Kwame Sukina. Joseph and Laurelyn Riverwind will be strategically, significantly used in the worship setting. We're going to have shofars blowing and earth drums beating and dancing and celebrations, a large worship team. Laura and I will be a part of the worship effort, and our congregation, House of David, will be relocating our Shabbat services this weekend to that location. It's at the MAPS Center, MAPS Center in Moss Side Avenue in Richmond. It's online. It's on Facebook. And if you're in this region and can drive in, I encourage you to do so. This is an event that has been much prayed over, has been much fought against. Those that are a part of it have been hit hard at points. Spiritually, I mean, the warfare in the spirit has been very, very noticeable and significant. But we are still praying through and believing the Father to do a mighty work. Mike, we are hoping to rectify and redeem some multi-generational issues, as one native leader in this area referenced themselves as the first encounter people. So when first Europeans came to these shores in this nation, we think of Plymouth Rock in Massachusetts, but Virginia is also, and especially in the very area that we are living, an area of first encounter. And things that were done then have laid a foundation and planted a root that is borne negative fruit for hundreds of years. And this, I think, is an effort to begin to cut the root in order to change the fruit.
There you go. That's a good idea. I wish I'd be there. I was invited, but I've got to be in Colorado this weekend. So you guys have a blessed time.
We're going to, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Share on your social media, encourage your friends to watch, and we'll see you soon. See you later, Mike.